Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden social dynamics that really dictate whether vocations thrive or fail in your religious institute. If you're a provincial, a superior, or a rector managing a religious house, you already know that leading a community takes a whole lot more than just following the rulebook. You pour immense amounts of time, money, and emotional energy into formal governance, writing constitutions, and building these rigorous formation programs. But today, we're going to contrast all that formal structure with the incredibly powerful, completely invisible forces that are actively shaping the minds and hearts of your members every single day, often entirely under your radar. All right, let's look at our agenda for today. We'll start off with the vocation mystery, move into social information processing, uncover the informal curriculum, talk about navigating ambiguity, and finally wrap up with a practical leadership playbook. Let's get into it. Section 1, the vocation mystery. Okay, picture this. It's a scenario any of you managing a religious house know all too well. It's a total puzzle that superiors have been trying to solve for centuries. Imagine two novices entering your institute in the exact same year. We've all seen this happen, right? On paper, their formal inputs are absolutely identical. Novice A and Novice B experience the exact same formation program, they read the exact same constitutions, and they follow the exact same daily schedule of prayer, study, and community life. Yet, 10 years down the road, they produce totally different outputs. Novice A is the settled, committed member, serving the mission with absolute energy. Novice B, on the other hand, just left the community before final vows and never really explained why. So, why did one leave? When a vocation is unexpectedly lost, especially after years of mutual investment, our brains instinctively look to the formal program for answers. We think, did we not teach the vows clearly enough? Was the schedule just too exhausting? But since the formal program didn't differ between Novice A and Novice B in the slightest, we have to stop and ask ourselves what actually caused this massive divergence in their paths. What on earth was the invisible variable? Well, the answer almost certainly lies in something a lot smaller, a lot subtler, and frankly much easier to overlook than your official curriculum. That brings us to Section 2, Social Information Processing. The answer to our mystery lies in a really brilliant concept originally developed by researchers Salesians and Pfeffer. It's called social information processing, or SIP theory. Now, while this was originally applied to workplaces, it applies with pinpoint precision to religious institutes that are built around formation, obedience, and community life. The core idea here is that people do not form attitudes in a vacuum. We're human. We're wired to look for cognitive shortcuts, especially when we're dropped into a highly complex, overwhelming new environment, like a monastery or a convent. A novice doesn't just read the founding charism in their room and independently decide what it means for their life. No way. Instead, they actively watch and listen to how everyone else reacts to it. They pick up social cues from the folks around them, and those everyday cues become the dominant lens for interpreting literally everything else in the institute. Just look at the stark contrast between the fixed blueprint on paper and the fluid reality of daily community life. You have the formal layer, right? The constitutions, the rule, the formal governance structure. These things are rigid. But when a member actually experiences day-to-day happens in the informal layer. It's the table talk at recreation. It's the hushed private reactions to a superior's reassignments. It's the exact tone of voice a senior elder uses when they're talking about the future of the province. The written charism matters, for sure, but it arrives completely filtered through the community's social life. And that informal filter? That's what does the heavy lifting in shaping a member's mindset. Moving right along to Section 3, the informal curriculum. Let's see how this builds specifically inside formation houses. Because if you're a novice or master or a provincial overseeing formation, this is exactly where this theory comes to life. While every institute has a formal curriculum, the official theology, the spirituality, the founders' writings, there is this invisible curriculum happening at the exact same time during meals, work assignments, and recreation. This curriculum runs completely off paper, but make no mistake about its power. It teaches so much faster and sinks in so much deeper than anything officially written down in a syllabus. Let's make this real with a few examples. Think about a young formator who complains privately about a superior's decisions. That instantly becomes part of what the novices learn about obedience, completely regardless of what the rulebook says. Or consider a senior member talking about declining numbers. If they speak with genuine hope and a concrete plan, a novice absorbs that energy and commitment. It's contagious. But if that same senior member speaks with flat resignation, basically saying there's nothing to be done, the novice absorbs that cynicism, and it directly damages how seriously they take their own vows. It's wild how fast that happens. Let's apply this to Section 4, navigating ambiguity. This is a massive test of your internal culture as a leader, obedience and reassignments. Honestly, few things test a religious institute quite like moving someone to a new role. Think about the crucible of a reassignment. On paper, the formal action is so simple. A superior discerns a need, assigns a member, and the member accepts. Boom, done. But for the member packing their bags and for the house they're leaving, it is a moment of extreme ambiguity and profound vulnerability. The community rarely has enough objective information on its own. So what happens? The community's informal interpretation takes over. They're going to read this ambiguous transfer as either a fresh mission of trust or a punitive demotion, based almost entirely on the subtle social cues drifting through the house. And here is a critical warning for any provincial or superior. Silence is absolutely not a strategy. If a superior doesn't explain a difficult reassignment clearly and directly, the real story doesn't just vanish. It gets invented. It gets created through informal, often highly negative, table talk among the confreres. The decision might be exactly the same, but if the explanation is thin, it gets read as arbitrary or cold. The rumor mill steps right in to fill the void, because silence simply gets filled by whoever speaks next. And let's be honest, that is rarely the most balanced or charitable voice in the room. So what do we actually do about all this? Section 5, the leadership playbook. If you hold a leadership role, here is your direct, actionable playbook for managing this informal layer effectively. You have to take these specific steps to ensure your formal governance isn't being subtly undermined by the social life of the house. Step 1. Explain hard decisions like house closures or reassignments directly and early. Take control of the narrative. Do not let the rumor mill do your job for you. Step 2. Match the tone you use in formal teaching with how you act in ordinary daily moments. Why? Because cognitive dissonance breeds total mistrust. If formation stresses humility, but your daily governance feels distant and authoritarian, members are going to trust what they see, not what was preached. And step 3, which might be the most crucial, pay extremely close attention to your most respected senior members. I want you to really absorb this. Social information processing gives massive weight to source credibility. And in a religious institute, that credibility usually sits with a well-regarded elder, not necessarily the person holding the formal title of superior. If a deeply respected elder speaks about the mission with conviction, it totally steadies the community during turbulent times. But if they speak with quiet despair, that negativity spreads through the house faster than any official letter you could ever write to counter it. And this dynamic applies to absolutely everyone in the house. Even if you aren't a superior, your everyday reactions as an ordinary member are actively shaping the vocations of those around you. Now, we aren't talking about forcing fake optimism here. No one likes that. Honest resilience, saying, hey, this transition is hard, but here's how I'm staying grounded, that models authentic strength. But flat cynicism, that gives newer members a working model of disengagement. It acts like a virus spreading through the community, whereas honest resilience acts as a vital anchor. Both reactions are honest, but only one actually strengthens the shared life of the institute. Ultimately, you can tweak formation programs all day long. You can refine governance structures, write clearer directives, and optimize your rulebook until you're blue in the face. But as we've seen today, it's the accumulated weight of everyday conversations that truly tips the scales. If the informal layer, the table talk, the tone superiors take under pressure, the way elders speak to novices goes unattended, you're leaving the absolute most vital, outcome-determining part of your system completely unmanaged. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to reflect on regarding your own religious house. Next time you sit down at recreation, I want you to just listen. What is the informal talk in your community actually teaching the next generation? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me in this explainer. I really hope it gives you a powerful new lens for leading and sustaining your community.